Hey everyone, it's Alyssa from Creekside Simplicity, and today I wanted to show you how to make a simple lacto-fermented salsa. Now, I like to do a lot of canning, but the thing with canning is you pretty well have to have a large batch of something in order to have enough to can. And what I like about lacto fermenting is that you can just do one jar of something. And that's perfect for if you only have, little bits and pieces of things coming in from the garden, or it's just a little bit too much for fresh eating but not enough to do a whole batch of something. It's really quick and easy to do some fermenting, and you don't have to get out all the canning equipment and the big water bath canner and do all the sterilizing and all that. So this is just a much faster, easier way to preserve your food. Now, the only difference is that with fermented foods, you do have to keep them cold when they're finished fermenting. So whether you have an extra fridge or a cold cellar or something along those lines, you just need to keep them cool after they've finished fermenting. So that's the only downfall of fermented foods, because with canning, you can pretty well keep things indefinitely, and they don't necessarily have to stay cold. But fermented foods also have a lot of health benefits that you lose with the canning process, because when you ferment something, you get all of that good probiotic in your food, all that good bacteria, which is really great for your gut health. So there's a lot of pluses to fermenting as well. So I'm going to show you this really simple recipe, and we'll go ahead and get started. So here are the ingredients and supplies that you'll need. 2 fairly large tomatoes. This is a very large onion. I'm only going to use about half of this. So just a medium-sized onion would be fine, either red or white. I just like the sweetness of the red onion. You need a medium-sized bell pepper, 1 or 2 jalapeno peppers, depending on how hot you want your salsa to be. Some sea salt. So you don't want to use regular table salt because it doesn't have any nutritional value, and it's got a lot of other stuff added to it that you don't want in your ferments. So get a good quality sea salt. You can see that this has a pinkish color to it. You basically want your sea salt to have a color, either pink or gray, something that's a high quality salt. Some lime juice. We like this brand. It's an organic brand of lime juice, or if you had a lime, you could just squeeze an actual lime as well. A quart-sized mason jar that's been cleaned. Now, I do have a good chef's knife, but sometimes when I'm cutting vegetables, I like a serrated knife, so I just use a steak knife. A tablespoon measuring spoon, some kind of a mixing bowl, and I have a fermentation lid, which I will talk more about later. It's not a necessity, but it is helpful, and I just got these a little while ago, and I'm enjoying spending some time playing with these. So we're going to go ahead and start chopping up these veggies and just putting them in the bowl. So I'm just going to move some of these out of the way. Cut it as coarsely as you would like. So it depends how chunky you want your salsa to be. One of the ingredients I forgot to mention is garlic. So we're also going to add 2 cloves of garlic. We're just going to chop that up nice and fine. Okay, all the vegetables have been chopped and added to the bowl. And now we're going to add our sea salt and lime juice. So I'm using 2 tablespoons of good quality sea salt. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of lime juice. Well, let's go for 2. This is quite a bit of salsa, so we'll do 2 tablespoons. Now, if you like cilantro, you can certainly add cilantro. Our family doesn't really like cilantro, so I'm not adding any, and we like it just the way it is. So we're just going to go ahead and mix all these ingredients together. Okay, the next step is to just pack it into our jar. So with fermenting, you want everything to be clean, but it doesn't have to be sterile. It's not like with canning where you have to boil all your jars and make sure everything is sterile. Just a good wash with hot soapy water using a clean cloth and then drying it with a clean towel will work just fine. Pack this down. You want to kind of keep packing it down. Now you see that because of the salt, that the salsa, the vegetables started to release some liquid. So you can see there's quite a bit of liquid in there, which is what we want. However, I didn't get quite enough liquid to cover all the way to the top of the vegetables. And what we want is for all the vegetables to be submerged under the liquid. So I'm just going to add a little bit of filtered water to top off the jar. If you are on city water, you just want to make sure you're not using chlorinated water because it's going to kill any of the beneficial bacteria that we're trying to create here. Now, I also like to use one of these fermenting weights. It just helps to keep all of the vegetables submerged under the brine because if anything floats to the surface, you have a chance of developing mold in your ferment, and we obviously don't want that. So I like these fermentation weights. I will add a link in the description as to what these are. You don't have to have these. You can use other things as weights, but I like them because they fit nicely in the wide mouth jars. So I'm just going to place this weight on top of the vegetables, and you can see, hopefully, that all of the vegetables are now submerged under the weight, and we just have the water on top. So that's what we want. And then I'm going to take, this is the Easy Fermenter lid, and I've just started using these and I'm really liking them because if you can see here, they have a dial on there and you can actually set the date. So today is the 5th of September and this needs to ferment for 2 to 3 days. So this just helps me keep track of when I started it, and then I'll know when it's time to check it. So I'm going to go ahead and screw on the Easy Fermenter lid, and it looks like this. And what the fermenter lid actually does is it allows the gases to escape while keeping out air and, you know, nasty stuff like insects and, you know, fruit flies tend to really like things that are fermenting. So it keeps all that stuff out, but still allows the gases to escape. So you don't have to burp these or anything like that while it's fermenting. I've done ferments in the past without using something like this, and I haven't had great success. I tend to end up with a lot of yeast or mold, things like that in my ferments. Not always, but often enough that it was annoying because it's a fair amount of work to do these, and then if I end up having to throw them away, then it's wasteful and it didn't make me very happy. So I went ahead and invested in these lids, and so far so good. I've done 3 jars of pickles, I've done 3 jars of relish, and now I'm doing salsa with them. So I'm really liking them so far. And again, I'll add a link in the comments to where you can get these. So that's it. That's how you make a simple fermented salsa. You can see how beautiful it looks. Everything's nicely submerged. And this is going to sit out for, what did I say, 2 to 3 days. And then I can check it and it should be ready. And then what you want to do after it's ready, you're going to remove the Easy Fermenter lid and take out that glass weight. And then you just throw a regular mason jar lid on top of the jar, and then you put it in the fridge. And it will keep up to 6 months in your fridge. That's another reason I really like fermenting things like condiments, is because when you make homemade condiments, they don't have a whole bunch of preservatives in them, so they typically wouldn't keep for very long. When you ferment them for a few days first, and then you store them in the fridge, the fermentation acts as a preservative and it lasts much, much longer. So we ferment our ketchup and, you know, any kind of condiment that we're going to be making, we ferment it first and then we refrigerate it, because then it's going to last a lot longer and it's not going to go to waste. I hope that you give this recipe a try, and if you like it, drop a comment in the comments below. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell if you want to be notified when I have a new video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.